What up, everybody? It's your man Dame D NYDC. It's Tuesday night, and you know what it is Tuesday night, man. We getting in our bag. I'm here with my brother, my man, Big A Sam Adams. Sam, what's happening, bro?
Good evening, my friend, my brother. How are we
Okay.
doing today?
Hey, look, man. It's Tuesday.
It
You
is
know
Tuesday.
we made it through the holidays. I hope you and yours had a great and a fabulous Thanksgiving holiday for one, man.
Absolutely. Same for yours. And plus, salute to Neil on her birthday last week.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying?
it was a whole lot. Look, man, it was a busy week. Thanksgiving, Neil's birthday,
Mm-hmm.
Shorty's birthday. Her birthday was Saturday, so
Mm.
it was a busy week. And I know we weren't here last Tuesday, y'all. So I'm glad. I hope everybody who's watching, and if you are watching, drop us a comment in the
Yeah.
notes. Let us know where you rocking from. Let us know where you at, and hope you and yours had a great one too.
Yeah.
And you
Don't worry,
know,
we missed you guys too. So,
yeah, right. Look, I'm looking forward to Tuesday nights, man. A little time to unwind, de-stress, have a little
yeah.
fun with you. And man, I'm just glad that we're here. And you know, we've had really a lot to unpack, and
Yes.
you know, don't want to sit here and drag it out all night, but we really kind of fast forward, to a lot of things really in the news. And
Right.
one of the things, man, I wanted to get your opinion on because
All
man,
right. Let's see. Let's
Cat
let's see
Williams.
what I'm about to say. Let's see which rabbit hole we're about to go down.
Down this rabbit hole. We definitely going down this rabbit hole because
Okay.
look, Cat kicked off 2024. Man, I
Mhm.
mean, he kicked in the door and he was just commenting and talking about a lot of things that I know we're all familiar with now. And we look, hope Pastor TD Jakes is doing well. He had a scare a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Diddy, and now in the news, we find Jay-Z
Right.
being slapped with this suit, alleged. And just curious, like, as we closing out 2024, because I got a feeling, man, 2024 was already a banger.
Right.
2025 about to be some real live ish going on. But what's your take, and your thoughts now that we have another name, another mogul in the music game that's been allegedly tied into some real devious and deviant type charges, through this whole saga with Diddy.
I mean, it's challenging. And the only reason why I say that is, for one, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's another one of those circumstances like, when we peel the onion back a little bit, we look at Diddy, you look at Kels. I'll use both of them as the popular two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like you knew of circumstances behind them,
Right.
and everyone knew, but it was like everyone was afraid to come out at the same time,
Right.
or allegations came out. However, everyone kind of like gave in a blind eye,
Yeah.
per se. So I feel like you heard certain things about Jay-Z even when he was younger. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, go back to like Aaliyah, Foxy Brown, Maya.
Yeah.
Um, he because he scooped up Beyonce from somebody else, but
Right.
by that time she was like in her early 20s and everything. So there's there's a allegedly there's a history there. There's a
Right.
pattern there.
Right.
So I think it would need to be more substance.
Mm-hmm.
On the contrary, someone came out and did a fact check saying that he wasn't at the VMAs after party. He was in a different location. Then
Mm-hmm.
I think Diddy was at a separate location too. So is this
Right.
just another cash grab?
Right.
Per se. Just give it time to marinate. Like you said, I think 2024 is just going to leave the door open for 2025.
I
You
couldn't
know
I
what I'm
could agree with
saying?
you more than all that. 'Cause this is about to get crazy again, man.
Yeah. I don't want no beehive. I don't want
Well, that's
I don't want the rock. I don't want nobody coming after me. Rock Nation,
Yep.
no affiliates. I ain't trying to plug them right now. Once again, I said allegedly. So
Right.
you know what I'm saying. Yeah, I just feel like if there's more concrete evidence, and we're talking about 20 years ago too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it always goes back. I always revert back, like, why somebody's so young? Where the guardianship at? You know what I'm
Man,
saying?
that's like a
Where
whole
the
nother.
family? And that's a different topic. You're
Yeah.
right. You know
That's
what I'm saying? Because when you look at celebrities, whether they're music artists or like, you know, in the world of Disney and Nickelodeon, you know, all those allegations came out during the summer too.
True.
There's a whole rabbit hole of like your parents is actually allowing certain for you to be in these predicaments with no guardianship. And it's like, you know, don't think of yourself, think of your family, you know, situations like that. So it's a very slippery slope. So, but as far as Mr. Sean Carter, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
Maybe more time will tell. Maybe this will get swept underneath the rug, or maybe other folks, because it only took one person to sit here and file a lawsuit against Diddy, and then the floodgates were open. So it's the same thing going to happen for Jay-Z too. So to be continued.
And that's where my mind is like, again, once you kind of and it's a bad word to use, but penetrate the door, I guess, if you will, it just kind of allows for now all of those again. And again, I don't want to demean or discredit or discourage anyone who has possibly been actually affected or offended in any way. You know, and if it's true, again, we're still talking allegedly. But
Yes.
now we're looking at a full-blown cash grab, you know, by people. And like you say, there's gonna have to be a lot of back checking and fact checking on, you know, these allegations now to move forward. But again, like how many are we looking at? You know, because we already see Diddy with, you know, they going crazy with the lotions and everything. You know, what is it going to be for Jay? Again,
Yeah.
you see different posts. I've seen a couple of different posts where the dudes from when he was making the band, they
Yeah.
talk about like how, you know, when he sent him to Brooklyn to go get the cheesecake from Junior's, when they
Right.
brought it back, the cheesecake was actually for Beyonce, and she was there in the hotel. Like, so all of these kind of crazy weirdo stories. Like, how many more of these we going to get? And again, not to say weirdo, but they might have some truth in them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And how some people see or view things too. Everybody's view on how they interact with someone takes a different turn and gives a different purview,
Right.
which could be skewed. But I'm just worried about, you know, not only that, but then let's look bigger. And again, I'm with you. I don't want no problem with the Beehive and nothing like
Yeah.
that, Rock Nation. But what does that do or potentially do for not only their relationship, but, you know, Beyonce being a brand and being the queen, you know, that she is? Like,
Yeah.
what effect do you see, or do you think maybe that could potentially impact them, you know, moving forward?
I think it's just going to depend on how she moved.
Mm.
If they sit here and be, I guess, vigilant or stand
Right.
still about the allegations,
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing, and hopefully it comes out false. But like, if the dominoes start to fall,
Right.
you know, it's going to be looked at like, well, how much did she know? How much did she play a part? How much did she just sit here and ignore? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? You know, and now once again, we're opening up that box. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That fire is going to start spreading because we're thinking about everybody who was under Rockefeller Records. We're thinking
Right.
about everyone that was affiliated with Rock Nation.
Right.
And, you know, that tree is like huge now because they're pretty much the conglomerate within the music world. So who else is being affected by it? So I just like everyone was, people still denying that R. Kelly didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Same folks with well, nah, people know Diddy did that shit. I mean, but you have some tryhards in there that's still like defiant and like Diddy didn't do anything, but like we know that hand, and you, like I said, you look at that time period and who else. He had to be influenced by somebody, and I feel like Jay-Z is going to be the same way. You know, once you get to that certain pinnacle, you're in a way different room, and who knows what all kind of stuff happened behind closed doors once you get within that room, because you feel like you're invincible. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you know, us as Black folks, we only get so much power. You know, and sometimes we need that reminder of who we are. So I think for Diddy, he fell into that category. He tried to reach too far, too close to the sun, and they pecked him down. It could be the same thing. Maybe they feel like Rock Nation has too much power out here, you know, and you need to slide it with somebody else. So let's poke the bear a little bit and see what nuggets we could get before everything else comes crashing down.
Yeah, I agree, man. You know, I figure we could not start without at least touching on, the Jay-Z implications now. I mean, we talking sports and entertainment here, and that was one of probably the biggest entertainment buzz, I guess, if you will, that kind of broke over the weekend. And then,
Hmm.
obviously, we had the college football playoffs that,
Yes.
man, uh, talk with a couple of cats, man, this it's interesting, I guess,
Hmm.
for the first time in a long time, where we can actually talk college football in a way where it doesn't appear or feel skewed in one way or the other. In the
Yeah.
past, it's always the Georgia talk. It was the
Hmm.
Clemson talk of recent. You had LSU in
Bama.
there, Bama, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So now we're looking at a college playoff, that's really evolved. And this
Hmm.
year, one of the games we're going to talk about here and really kick off with was the Big Ten championship.
Right.
With Oregon and Penn State. And this was a really an intriguing game for me. And I just want to start from this point because Penn State for me, I've always been a Penn State fan, and
Hmm.
going back to my days as a kid, but they've always been that almost have or almost had
Yeah.
team, right? So going into this one, I'm not gonna lie, I was worried like because of that moniker, I was expecting Oregon to just come out and just blow the doors off of them. I'm
Right.
not even gonna lie, but it didn't. It didn't happen that way, and
Yeah.
go back to the beginning of the season where Oregon actually, they pulled off some shenanigans to pull off that game against Ohio State.
Yeah.
This game was, I don't want to say it had the same feel, but I feel like, against teams that are really that they're more evenly yoked with, they're
Hmm.
not really that. I mean, obviously, offensively, they're explosive, but Penn State put up 37 points too. And really,
Yeah.
you put up 37 points and you lose a game. And
Hmm.
it just really came down to really that last drive with the turnover and everything. But from my opinion, I think OSU has some weak chinks in its arm, and I'm curious for you, like, what did you see and what did you take away from that game?
I mean, Penn State plays a lot of smash mouth, and
Mhm.
like Big Ten prior to Oregon coming in, I felt like the Pac-12, and I ain't trying to go too far back, but Pac-12 was more like speed. When you look at
Right,
Oregon defense or
right,
Oregon offense, very explosive, very fast.
right.
Defense was kind of light as
Yeah,
far as like their size and
yeah.
everything, and I was curious to how that was going to sit here and transition with Oregon moving to the Big Ten, which they fared. I mean, they went undefeated, so we
Right.
can't knock that against them. But at the same time, like you said, like they struggle with Ohio State because of their size and their speed.
Mhm.
They struggle with same thing with Penn State.
Mhm.
I think those two were their biggest challenges
Right.
as far as like you hit us in the mouth, we're going to hit you back.
Right.
I think eventually that's what it really came down to. Um, I mean, uh, the better team won. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I
Yeah.
agree with you as far
Yeah.
as those chinks and everything.
Mhm.
Offensively, I mean, when you look at the numbers, they led, in almost every stat minus like
Sure did.
passing yards, I believe.
Sure did.
So it could have been any one game.
Mhm.
I think just with the second half alone, I mean, the first half, excuse me,
Mhm.
that Oregon put up them big numbers, they were kind of able to sit there and coast
Yeah.
the rest of the way because they go to score. You know
Of
what I'm
course. Of
saying?
course.
And like I said, it was just like you got two Chevys. You know what I'm saying? Two Chevys, heavy duties,
Yeah.
and they're playing tug of war right now.
Mhm.
So Oregon just came over there and edged out Penn State. So I'm curious to see them with their bracket.
Mhm.
I don't think they have the easiest path to the playoffs.
No, I know.
Um, yeah. So, but Oregon's sitting high. They deserve that number one seed.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you in every statistic. Like, it wasn't as lopsided. Like, I think probably a lot of us did. I mean,
Right.
considering they were up 28-10, and Penn
Mhm.
State roared back, 27 points in the second half, and really they dominated them. Looking at my number, they dominated them just pretty much in every category, every statistical category, especially on the ground.
Right.
Um, and you know, Oregon did what they needed to do, like you said, Saturday to win the game. Their defense showed up when they needed it. They needed to make that play. on that final drive, and it's going to be. I think, funny enough, like when I look at the draw, I agree with you. I don't think, and I don't believe that Oregon has the easiest path to victory, if you will, to the championship. But and man, I got to work with my team. We got the old graphic here, but
no, that's all good because Penn State plays SMU in the first round this weekend,
and I think that's a winnable one.
Yeah. That's doable because SMU, like, bless SMU, and I know that we're going to talk about them.
Yeah.
But like, do we really think that there ain't no knock against the ACC for me? But like, it's kind of like apples and oranges when you look at the Big Ten and the SEC as far as like the caliber. Even with doggone Clemson squeezing in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they squeezed in. But like, and I think the ACC as a whole is lucky to have like two doggone teams because like, let's not forget Army. You know what I'm saying? They won their championship, but because they're in the American and that's a lower tier, that's not necessarily a Power 5 conference. It kind of, trickle down. But either way it goes, they're going to have to. Do you see Penn State beating Notre Dame? Or do you see Penn State beating Georgia? We're not going to count Indiana because I think Penn State blasted Indiana. That was their wake-up call.
I honestly, I think if I'm looking at, I think Penn State has an easier path because again, SMU, no disrespect, we're going to talk about them. Like you said, Notre Dame. I'm on the fence when it comes to Notre Dame, but with them, a lot of times I think it's a lot of hype with them. Just because it's Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's my fluke team. Like I never, because like they've been to the championship way too many times, like in the past decade, right?
Yeah, right.
And I always felt like they were overhyped. Yeah, because I'm like, one, you're independent. Two, you get to pick and play, and that's what pisses me off a little bit with Notre Dame. They get to pick and play. They sprinkle in a couple of like high caliber games, right? You get your USC. Who else did they play this year? It was one more that they
and again though, when you have to sit here though and really think about who they play, it doesn't resonate to me with them even being in, I don't want to say legitimate discussion, but it's not legitimate to me. It's
no. Because they don't, like you said, they don't see nobody. They don't see nobody unless they get that invitation. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why they're kind of scared. I would like to see them in the Big Ten. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like that's where they belong. But they so skittish. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
If all the military branches could sit here and fill in for a conference, because all of them were independent at one point in time too. I feel like Notre Dame should do the same and have to compete just like everybody else.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's coming to that point. Like, come on, bro. Like I was surprised that they got a 7th seed. You know what I'm saying? And they were just sitting on the sidelines while everybody else was playing. So if anything, I would have had them like that 9 to 12.
Oh, exactly. I put them on the back end of that scale. Yeah. I agree.
Like you got to work your way in. You know what I'm saying, fam? Like I get it where you stand, but like everyone else is fighting. Texas and Georgia had to fight. Oregon and doggone Penn State had to fight. SMU and Clemson had to fight. You know what I'm saying? So like you look at all these teams, Boise State had to sit there and fight. Arizona State and doggone Iowa State. That was a good game too.
I mean, even though it was a whitewash, but I didn't see that. And I watched ASU a couple of times this year. I didn't see that complete team show up. And that game though kind of put you on notice. Like, okay, here's a team though, and that's why I say it gives a different perspective this year with this playoff. Like you really get to see teams that one you probably wouldn't talk about or see in any other format, but two, it gives a little nice little sprinkle, like a little extra flavor. Like, oh, okay, maybe I gotta watch and pay attention, to these teams that are now involved. And like I said, I find them more intriguing, ASU more intriguing, like you said, in Notre Dame, who really had to sit on the sidelines. And they were eating popcorn and they just got their ticket punched for doing nothing.
And Nick Saban brought up one good point too. Like, why don't we just make the playoffs 1 through 12? You know what I'm saying? Take your
Really
top 12 teams,
I agree.
and this is what it is right here. So now we're not worrying. Now you don't have to worry about Notre Dame
Right.
sitting here and not doggone playing in a conference game, you know, in a conference championship game,
Yeah.
because you were about to sit here and penalize SMU,
Right.
you know, for losing by a field goal,
Right.
you know, in the championship game, even though they went 11-1 for the whole
For the whole
season.
season. And I
Yeah.
that part too, though, I think that part that Saban talked about, I think that does go away once they what is it, the year next year or the year after they 16 teams or whatever it
Yeah.
is. I think that clears up that conversation. Then
Yeah.
we're not talking about this
Mhm.
because you just take 1 through 16
Yeah.
in the story, and we just roll the balls out and we let them go ahead and go play.
Yeah.
And one of the things and I think I mentioned before, we talked about, and I talked with some friends, I was at work the other day, like the whole bowl scenario, like, oh, not the bowl scenario, but the championship games.
Hmm.
I say get rid of those because of that fact, like you said. So with this current format, you
Hmm.
know, you're playing for your championship, your conference championship, but you get penalized if you lose.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, look, take the one of the top 2 teams or whatever from these conferences or whatever it is. If they're ranked, then they go, and you let the 4th and 5th place or the 3rd and 4th place teams play in the championship conference championship, because I understand it's money,
Yeah.
because that's what the conference championships are
Yeah.
for. But
That's
the
what it
bigger
boils
picture,
down to.
what it boils down to, but the bigger picture is, though, you're potentially hurting a team like a SMU, that, like you were talking about, or Clemson, or some of these other teams that really
Hmm.
should be
Yeah.
in the conversation. And even look, I even throw in right now, a 9-3 Alabama, just because of the strength of schedule that they played. I think that would have they deserve, again, though we're talking, top 16, then obviously they're in. But again, I think they deserve more consideration. Again, now we're talking about Notre Dame, who did nothing,
I
versus
disagree with you.
you think so?
And this is the only reason why. I
Mhm.
look, yeah, the middle piece of their schedule was strong because you have to face Tennessee, you played Texas, you played Georgia, but then like you get to the latter and you play in a Weber State. You know what I'm
Look,
saying?
we got to be
What,
fresh. We got to be fresh for the back end of the season.
yo, and I dig that, but when I saw that on the schedule, like when I'm looking at the scores and everything, and I was like, damn, it's 42-7. I'm like, damn, who Bama beating on? I was like, Weber State. And I was like, this late in the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, you're not going to remember that game. I don't even think that game was doggone televised. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
pretty sure it wasn't,
But
because I totally forgot about it.
yeah, but if you sit here and you have like Clemson, Miami, you know what I'm saying, or
Yeah,
SMU, Miami, like those are pinnacle games that if I'm the committee, I'm more focused on that than
agree.
focus on
Okay,
like, this trash game. And then on top of that, like they went through the ringer this season too.
they
You know
did.
what I'm saying? They struggled against doggone South Carolina, struggled against LSU, got pummeled by Tennessee, got wrecked by Vanderbilt. Like those 3 L's that they took, those are more memorable too, as well too. So
I give you that.
just as much as you're right, just as long as you look at their strength of schedule, they're still a 3-loss team against. They played 3 teams. I think Tennessee was the only one that was ranked, but Vandy wasn't ranked at the time. South Carolina wasn't ranked at the time. They just rolled in. I
Towards
want to
the
say
end.
this week, yeah,
Right. Yeah.
ranked.
Mhm.
So like that has to be a talking piece too.
Well, well said. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. I can buy that. That's well said. That's well diagnosed. And
Yeah,
speaking of, we did just jump on SMU, and
yeah,
we'll talk about, like, this was their inaugural season in the
hmm,
ACC.
yes,
And this dude's finished 8-0 in the conference, 11-1 overall. They won their games by average margin of almost 20 points, I think, to be exact. Go to my notes. 19.4 points per game in conference games that
right,
they won by. And the championship game was a thriller. We talked about that, losing that championship game 34-31, in a last second field goal. And what more can you say when you lose that? I know it's heartbreaking, but
hmm,
I think and this is one of those where I think this really, I don't see them beating Penn State, but I think this fuels you for this college football playoff run.
yeah,
To have all of this, going on behind you. And I just really think, I like the fact that Dabo, Clemson coach, he really supported, SMU's inclusion
Right.
And into the playoff selection, which I think is really dope coming from, not only your competition, but another coach who's been there and who's kind of going through the same snubbing, if you will, in
Mhm.
his early on in his career.
Right.
And, it's their first championship. And I think I didn't, honestly, I didn't view SMU coming in and really establishing his flag in his first season in this manner. I thought they
Right.
were a decent team. And again, I don't know if that's just where they were just that good, or did the ACC really continue its slide further and further back? I don't know if it's a combination of the two, but what do you think and what do you feel about this historical breakthrough by the Mustangs in the ACC?
I mean, shout out to him. I kind of felt like I thought SMU was going to be in the Big 12 and not the ACC. Like when everyone was doing their realignment and everything. I think that they really lucked out because I do agree with you when we look at the teams of the ACC and who was playing. Like Louisville used to be the big talk. You know what I'm saying? Cincinnati used to be the big talk until they came over there and moved to the Big 12. But then you look at everyone else as far as like Duke, Georgia Tech slid, Florida State is like, oh my goodness.
My goodness, what happened?
You know what I'm saying? Boston College, like they're kind of like the names of old when you start bringing up colleges and everything and bringing up schools, which could be beneficial for SMU because I don't think anyone had in their cards for SMU to play elite ball, which they did. I mean, look at where they're at now. So I think for them, like I think they're at the position that they could sit here and write. They could create their own dominance within that conference because I don't think like you looking at this season when it comes to commits and everything that's going to the schools and everything. I don't think people are going to be pushing to go to doggone Duke. You know what I'm saying? Duke is a basketball town. There's no knock against them. Like we look at Duke and we think,
basketball automatically.
Yeah, we're thinking March Madness right off the top of the bat. You know what I'm saying? Or even doggone like Boston College. I'm still confused to where they're located at. Are they in Boston? You know what I'm saying? Are they in North Carolina? Like they floating around somewhere there. And until Florida State get their stuff together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like they have the prime opportunity and like, and that's also might be a plus for SMU too, because now you think about like Texas, A&M, TCU, and SMU. Now, how big the state is, now they get to keep their talent right there because now they're in a power conference. So I don't need to sit here and travel to Bama, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, or something like that. So that's going to give all that 4-star, 3 to 5-star talent that they have in that area, plus the surrounding states, as far as like Duluth. Like if I can't sit here and get to LSU, you know what I'm saying, I could just go to SMU or something like that. So they're in that prime position to be a good talking discussion for a while and be competitive, on the collegiate level for football. So they're creating a milestone for themselves over there in doggone at Southern Methodist.
Look, that's a very great point. I think this season really for SMU represents more than just their athletic success. Like you said, I think it's a testament really to the program's potential, like you just talked about, and really their resilience in this new conference. Like you said, you said it very well. This really sets up a promising foundation for their future seasons in the ACC, and they really want to watch out, like you said, until really Florida State and I look for I forgot Syracuse was there. All of these old Big East names. Like you said, it does have some old historical value, more maybe from a basketball standpoint, but
it's not really. Not really from a football perspective. Like you say, you bring up them names and. Like I said, I'm already got March Madness in my mind. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're not really thinking about football. So they could be that dominant one. Like, I would love to see them. And, they beat Florida State 42-16.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In their first outing. So, and I don't know whether or not Florida State is going to be able to recover. Plus, you just think about, like, the money and the marketing that's happening right now with SMU. Them making it to the playoffs and everything. That's going to be more money. So that's going to leave I hate to say it as far as like the NIL, but that's going to attract more revenue too.
Ooh, it is.
You
It
know, I
really
just
is.
hope that it doesn't bite them to, you know, players be like, what's for me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Minus this education, but that's going to be there too. But I mean, they could build and grow from this program that they have right now.
Mm. Well, it's going to be exciting. I look forward to it. And I'm glad that we just spent a moment, man. Shout out to the Pony Express and the
Mm-hmm.
Mustangs for doing anything. And while we're talking about staying down in the South, and we the big game, I think really a lot of us were looking forward to is the rematch down in the SEC championship. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it was hard for you, bro. I'm just gonna go ahead and just turn it over to you because I'm gonna let you get this off your chest. Because I know it was tough to watch down here
Oh,
this weekend.
hey, look, man. I was overhyped and oversold twice. You know what I'm saying? It happened to me back in October, and then here we go again, and it just felt different. You know what I'm saying? Like last week we played A&M, and I was like, okay, we got it. You know what I'm saying? Like as prominent as A&M defense was, even though their offense was, fugazi, I was like, we got this. So I'm coming into this game like we could put the clamps on Carson Beck. Like
Yep.
no sweat, which we did. You know
You
what I'm
did.
saying?
Yep, you did.
But like penalties killed us. You know what I'm saying? I think we had what was it, 11 penalties for like
Yeah,
94 yards or
yeah.
something like that. Like
They really
it
would get
was
you in the butt.
the offensive line, and like my confusion is like they kept on running into gaps, right? As far
Mm-hmm.
as Baxter, Blue, and Wiseman. But
Yep.
like when you look at, they ran more screens.
Yep.
That was the bread and butter when we played various teams. So it's like, why not use that same scheme?
Yeah.
Uh, I love Quinn Ewers to
Man,
death.
killed him,
He
man.
had like 351
Ooh, he's
yards.
lighting them up.
You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
at the same time, you only can have one touchdown but two pickles.
Yeah.
So on contrast, when you look at his stats, it's like, damn, my man was going off. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it doesn't correlate.
It doesn't. Then too. I mean, look. I don't mean to cut you, but I mean, then too. On the flip side, though, he was sacked 6 times too. On top
Which
of
is
the
true.
fact,
And
which didn't help.
yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like the and you don't get me wrong, there was a lot of rebuilding on the line too. We had a couple of injuries throughout the season,
Mm-hmm.
but we were able to bounce back. And once again, like I said, like I felt like A&M's front four was more prominent than Georgia's front four,
Agreed.
but it didn't show Saturday afternoon.
Right.
Like whether it was rushing 3, rushing 4, they were getting to doggone Quinn.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't no time for him to sit here and release the ball, which makes me nervous in the playoffs because I don't want to sit here and start, beasting everybody, beat Clemson. Boise State got a good offensive scheme, you know what I'm saying? And that's really the only thing that keeps them in the game. Are we going to be able to keep up score for score with certain teams?
Good point.
Excuse me. That's the more important part. I don't know which Quinn Ewers is going to show up on a Saturday.
Look, if the one that played this Saturday, like I said, if save the pickles, right? But if that one shows up, because I mean, he's pretty flawless. Like I said, if the offensive line can keep him upright and keep him clean, and those pickles, I mean, you guys, they're awesome. Like really, they're really awesome offensively, and I think they can go score for score if they keep them clean and like you keep the turnovers to a minimum. So,
and defense got to stop playing zone too. I'm sorry, I'm starting to get kind of angst now.
Because again, though, when I look at it too, because sometimes I look at it's too much of a deep zone. That cover type zone. I'm like,
it's too much cushion. It's way too much cushion, and then you're spreading your doggone linebacker out. Like the linebacker, you just need either Hill, and I forgot the other one. Just keep them in a spot, especially if you have a hybrid type running back. I mean, quarterback like doggone Ewers. ETN came back and he was like running up and down. But the thing is that like we're in these zones, so we're giving up chunks of yardage. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's got 10 yards before anybody even gets named. So.
Exactly, and that's the problem. Like you sit here and I don't know. We missed 2 field goals. You know what I'm saying? If we would have had those 6 points, we wouldn't even be talking about overtime and everything. So like Texas lost that game. That was Texas' game to lose, and they ended up losing. Now they're the 5 seed. So like moving on from here. because it's a clean slate now because we're in the playoffs. Like, what do you want your statement? And I thought that would have been a real feel good too, because everyone was talking about how Texas wouldn't be able to dominate in the SEC, but still going 10-2. You know what I'm saying? And your first elite, well, I'm not want to say elite, but being in the SEC and, you know, hearing about it all. So if they could sit here and come back, I know Gremlin's running around.
Yeah. Hey, look, let him. It's the holidays. Let him get
it happens. But one thing I am curious to see for next year and all conferences is more in conference play. You know what I'm saying? You got programs with, or you got conferences with like 16 to 18 teams.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be no reason, because you know who your build up schools are. So if you want to sit here and drag somebody, you could pick those teams to drag.
Right.
But we need to see more Georgia, Texas, or Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Texas.
There's no reason why these conferences. Yeah, I know I say Big 10, but you're really a Big 16.
Yeah, exactly.
You have enough where there's no reason why, you know, out of a 12-game schedule, you shouldn't be playing at least 8.
Yeah,
you know, within your conference.
Yeah,
you know, East, West, North,
and
South,
they have it split. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's doable.
Yeah, that's how the Big 12 was like that. You know, once they broke it down to like 10 teams and then bumped it back up to 12, whether it was like North or South, Big 12 North or South, you had to play everyone within your conference just to be considered, you know, for that game. And I feel like there should be no. I know you want everybody to look good, but I think you'll weed out more.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? If you do it that way, the same thing with the Big 10. Who knows how to, because the Pac-12 is supposed to be coming back next year too.
True.
So who's to say? I wonder who's going to migrate back to the Pac-12 minus Washington State and Oregon State. I think it is. Those are still like, those are the lone two right now.
Right.
But it's like, who else is going to migrate over there, and how are they going to break it down? But you need more, and then that will help strengthen the 1 through 12 speech too.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you know who's 1 through 12, and then that should still give other opportunities in too. You know, especially when they move to like the 16 team championship. Now, like your American, you know, division, or your MEAC, you know, all these,
or Miami, Ohio,
Sun Belt,
Sun Belt MAC teams, and you know, Conference USA. That leaves room, you know, for those teams on the back end. That should be included. I think again, you know, I can't even call it major, Power 5 or whatever. Look, some of the mid majors are just as good, or if not better, than some of these Power 5 teams. So let's include them all. And I agree with you. If you're starting within, and that's really what people, I think for me now, looking at college football, that's really all I care about, is really more in conference. I don't care. I don't care if you know, if Notre Dame is playing USC. I mean, I get that's a traditional game, but you know, I want to see more in conference. I would love to see more SEC head-to-head matchups and more Big 10 head-to-head matchups versus these crossover matchups, because I'd rather see that in the playoffs. Like, give me that build up for the playoffs. And I agree with you. I think it does weed it out 1 through 12, and then we get those back fillers. But we have to look forward to the 16-game, you know, playoff schedule. But I think we can both agree right now, though. We kind of, I know I am. I can't speak for you. I'm somewhat happy with what we have right now. I think it's better than the older versions, and I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm excited because, you know, like I said, everything starts over. Everything's kind of fresh, so I'm excited to see like who's going to do what and who's gonna go the furthest. You know what I'm saying? Beforehand, when it was just the championships games and you had the Big Four, you know what I'm saying, or the Big Six or whatever, you look at those teams and I'm like, oh, you know, Cincinnati's going against Bama. Well, you already know what the outcome is. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or who else was it one year? It was Cincinnati one year. It was somebody else that did all this barking about being in the top 5 or Big Four, and they got obliterated by somebody. TCU. TCU was a couple of years ago.
The Horned Frogs, they showed up. Was trying to serve the nation.
They did not show up.
Yeah, they didn't show up. Yeah.
they were absent. Yeah, they were. That Horned Frog was on the lake.
Yeah, he was
in Lake Brazos. You know what I'm saying? Sitting on the lily pad.
Yeah, he was done. He was done, bro. Well, look, we both agree. We look forward to it. And I want to transition to, you know, before, you know, the week before last, we were here together talking. We had jumped on the topic of big men in basketball and the NBA.
Yes.
And
Yes.
tonight, as you eloquently, said while we were behind scenes, yep, throwing on my Nick Fitted, because right now ain't no other football team in New York doing anything. Both sides, the blue and white and the green and white, is throwing out the pony teams. So we decided that we wanted to jump into a little NBA talk. And you had mentioned a very good point when we left off last. I
Mhm.
guess we were talking about the de-evolution, if you will, of the big man
Yeah.
in basketball today. There's no real big presence down in the post. And I'm gonna throw you a lob. Like, I know there's been a significant trend really over the last couple of years, and especially more so with the European influx, in my opinion,
Right.
that's kind of reshaped how basketball is. But what do you think has been the biggest impact right now with this change going, from having the big man being as dominant as he used to be in today's game?
All right. I'm looking at this at two ways.
Okay.
The first one, a lot of people might not agree with. I'm just going to put it out there. I think betting has a big impact in it. And the main reason why I say that is because it's all about the spread right now.
Good point.
And if I'm over here chunking it down in the paint and getting these like onesies and twosies, I really don't mean shit anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah. I think it's the spread. Okay. And how gambling is more legal. So everybody's just trying to sit here. We need scores. You know what I'm saying? Because now everybody's a stat. And if I have a big man, yeah, I might have like 12, 15 rebounds. But if I'm only averaging like 2 points, 2 to 4 points a game, that's not going to help the conglomerate right now.
Right.
So, I don't need you to be a pure shooter. I just need you to be a shooter. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about that little 2 to 10 foot area. You know what I'm saying? I need you to hit that 15 to 19 foot range and give me some buckets. That's and you look at it during the off season, we don't see nobody like in the weights, in the gym, like pushing weights and everything. No, we see them on the court and we see them beyond that arc. We look at Cat, we look at Joel Embiid, you look at what other big men are out there. Cat, Joel Embiid, Derek Lively, I think for Dallas.
Julius Randle. All of these guys, they checking it for three now.
Yeah, you see them, and that's all that they're doing. They're just they're shooting further away, out in the perimeter and everything. It like instead of like, hey man, I need you to put on like 15 pounds, and I just want to lob this to you.
Right.
And I just want you to yoke on somebody.
Yeah, because that's what Embiid should be doing, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Embiid, that's a
trust the different story. I know it's different.
I know there is no more process to trust over there. Like he's load managing games, or he's game managing right now, which is horrible. Like, and he's running away from the big man. Like, I find it odd when Joker come into town or they got to play in Mile High that he's hurt all of a sudden, or like this is my off game. You know what I'm saying? Or like, which is weird because you'll go to LA, you go against AD, and I think AD is a prominent force too. But you'll bang with him, but it's like I don't want to go against the Joker.
Yeah,
that's my arch nemesis right there. You know what I'm saying? We look at Wemby. Like Wemby over here is shanking threes, even though it might look like a layup. You know what I'm saying? Or a free throw.
But they got him. He out there shooting threes now too, though. Which is crazy. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying though. Like it's really about the spread, and I find that unfortunate. I think that there was a balance as far as like grace and power back in the days. Like I got a rise out of looking at Shaq getting the lob and dunking on somebody with so much force. Like, you really don't see that now. Or you might see a big man and then, next season is like he lost 20 pounds and like he's been working on his outdoor game. Like you follow him all through college. You know what I'm saying? And he's just like I said, he banging on folks, disrespecting them, dunking on them and everything, right? And then it's like you have that one season that they come in and it's like, it was pretty mediocre. And then, like I said, the sophomore year come and it's like, look at big man right here. He took 20 pounds off. You know what I'm saying? They say that he's light as a feather and more agile and all this stuff.
He literally is light as a feather. He's soft.
Yeah. And I'm just like, come on, like I get it, but like and I think that has something to do with the decline of the sport too, because like, I mean, I get it. You have all these stars, half of them, and you have that changing of the guard that's going to happen within the next 3 to 5 years too. So how are these newer players going to leave that impact? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of sad that there's not a big man right now that kind of like resonates hard. You know, we talk about Wemby because of his height, but like we have 20. We have 28 teams. And I don't know the rest of the centers besides like Joker. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the hell Cat is. You know, somebody might run a 1-2 and 2 4s. You know what I'm saying? Have like 2 4s or something like that.
He's not really he's not a 5.
We would never speak of Gobert. Like he ain't no goddamn center.
Well, I mean, you know, in the traditionals, he's not dominant.
Yeah, but it's because he works on his outside game. You know what I'm saying? He'll bank them from doggone 19 or 20 footer too. They all do the same thing because it's like, I need a score. We need to rack up this point, and then it leads to a lack of defense too. Like a game shouldn't be like 137 to 134.
And that's where I was going with it, because I think to me that's what bothers me the most. I understand you want fans to be engaged and you want the movement of the ball.
Yeah.
But for me, it takes away strategy. Because again, like every game can't be 140 to 139. Like it's mind blowing because nobody's playing defense anymore. And I think that's where the big man kind of brought that in, especially when it comes to strategy. Like to me, I don't see strategy in the game anymore in that sense where, you know, you had a dominant big man and, you know, you have a couple of wings that can kind of close out and defend on shooters to put pressure on them or drive them to a side or drive them, you know, baseline towards your big man where you can double team. Like, I don't see that strategy anymore because everybody wants to go small. You know, I look at these teams, you know, Golden State goes small and you have a team like, I don't know, you take the Bucks. You know, they'll make Giannis their 5 and they want to go small. I'm like, why you want to match up with them? I mean, you got Robin Lopez, he's a 7-footer. Okay, we just want to slow the game down and make them play our style of ball, or make them get their smalls off the floor. You know, like it's strategy, but I don't see that strategy happening anymore. But teams rather match up and try to go when my strength is I got 2 7-footers. I got a 7-foot center, and I got Giannis on one side. I got, you know, Chris Middleton when he's healthy, or Portis when he's healthy. And my front line, I'm gonna make it. You got to stop me then.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't see that anymore. And it's just like, as great as the game I think has evolved, if you will, if you want to say that, because I don't think it's evolved, because I think shooting is actually worse than it was. But because this is the game that everybody think that needs to be played, the strategy is gone, the effort defensively is gone. You know, we don't see any more of, you know, any more of that that dog in people anymore. To where they want to stop somebody unless it's the fourth quarter. Or even when you look at teams where there wasn't these big threes in the back, you know, in the day, that dudes want to go one-on-one. You know, Michael, he was lucky to get Pippen, but you know, he looked like a guy, Patrick Ewing. He really didn't have a superstar. You hear a lot of these guys now. Back in the day, they were just one-offs. Larry Bird, for example, and Dr. J. You don't see that. Everybody wants to be a big three nowadays, and you know that's just the way that it's going.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. So, I mean, something's going to have to give. Like, you need everybody doesn't need to play the lead because it causes confusion. You know what I'm saying? And you only got 24 seconds on the shot clock anyway. Like, everybody can't get the ball all at once. So go back to your main and have your supports and sit here and call it a day. You know, until we do that, or until we get back to that formula, I think basketball is just going to continue to be at the rate that it is. Like I said, like them signing these doggone big contracts. And I mean, a lot of your big men are actually playing overseas too, when you look at it too, because there's no role for them. Like you said, you brought up Golden State. I think their tallest player might be 6'10". You know what I'm saying? If that, they don't have like no true bigs. Houston was in that boat too at one point in time. They always ran small. You know what I'm saying? So like it's that small ball right there. Once again, like, it's not entertaining to me. Like,
not at all.
You know, it just makes it a little bit more difficult to sit here and watch.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, I think eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to get back to some form of dominance. And when I say dominance, I mean a true form of a big man kind of reappearing and showing up. Because like I say, I think Cat is, not Cat, Embiid is supposed to be that guy. Even when I look at Joker is not that dominant guy. He has a skill set of a small forward, just so happens to be in a 7-footer's body. But he's extremely slow as molasses, and you can see his moves coming. And I don't know why dudes have such a hard time stopping him, but it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just the style of the game today. But hopefully things will kind of get back to it. We get more real defenders who want to show up. We'll be able to get, more guys who really want to actually work on their craft and actually build on the style of basketball that really makes it engaging, for us as fans to want to continue to watch, to continue to support. And yeah, I just think it hopefully moving forward too, it also gives some, tactical diversity, if you will, where teams can, employ different strategies to kind of slow down the big man, kind of like what they did back in the day. And I don't want to say go back to the hack a shack or anything of that nature, but you know, I would like to see another guy come along, not necessarily in the image of Shaq, but I think in every generation, I know as we came up, I can think back to guys like Artis Gilmore, Patrick Ewing, to David Robinson, Hakeem the Dream.
Right.
I mean, even give it to Dwight Howard, like whether you like him or not. But these were all guys that, earn their money in the paint. And hopefully we'll get back to that, I don't want to say in the near future, but hopefully that style of play gets reintegrated back into basketball.
Yeah. I mean, you even look at the caliber of players that are coming out now. They're just like lanky and skinny.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like we're breeding doggone 6'8" or 6'10", 3-4s now. Everyone is like a 3-4. Almost everyone is a 3-4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Every player that you would see, especially if you like watch like a draft night, everyone's built the same.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Feathers.
From the hair,
Feathers.
bushy little hybrid throws. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Long lanky arms, and like I don't know. I thought Edie was going to be that guy, and I think he's just going to take a little bit of growth, because I mean, you look at him when he was at Purdue, right? Was it Purdue? Yeah. I mean, his style of play kind of gave you that premise of like old school ball. Yeah, old school ball. And he knew his role. Like he could sit there and he could shoot doggone, he could shoot on the outside, but he knew that wasn't his assignment. He knew that you just needed to lob me the ball inside, and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna dunk on somebody, plain and simple. Or I'm gonna do that little hook shot. You know what I'm saying? He knew what he knew what his role was. So he's not like everyone else. So hopefully he could sit there and grow out there in Memphis, and we'll see what happens, especially being with Ja. Like I'm hoping that pairing right there could sit there and foster to something bigger.
Like I said, I agree with you. I just hate the fact that you get these guys like an Edie, who comes out, got some talent, he's got some game.
Yeah.
Goes to a team that could, like Memphis, that can really use a big body.
Yeah.
And it's like they just sit there and then they just melt away, to never be heard of again. And again, I don't want to hear especially like in a playoff series. You can use this guy where if you're playing against a team, I don't know, Minnesota or Phoenix, teams that are light in the bottom.
You take advantage of that.
Right. But you don't see it happening. Like I say, you want to match up because KD is on the floor, or so what? I just don't like that. And again, I know I don't get paid. Like I'm not a professional NBA coach, but I just don't understand in the strategy of basketball. If I see you have faster guys, but I have bigger guys. I'm gonna make it so that you play my game. We're gonna walk the ball up. We're gonna play half court basketball. We're gonna trap you on our end, with our bigger bodies, make you, like, it's just the strategy of it all. But like, again, I'm not an NBA coach. I just don't understand it. And I don't know if there's something out there that reads in the NBA bylaws or whatever, or written somewhere that this is how you have to play, because it makes no sense to me. The script is beyond my level of comprehension. So, but it was good talking. I mean, I hope we get to see it again. And talking about scripts, we look at the NFL. And
which one we gonna talk about?
So, I was gonna, I'm gonna start with a script probably seems to have the biggest impact. Let's just start there. It's the defending Super Bowl champions. They seem to have the best script writer in the NFL, because I just don't know how these guys. I mean, they get the calls week in, week out.
Yes.
They secured a narrow victory, over the Chargers, 19-17. Mahomes was pretty much not even pretty. He was basic. Most of the game. He led a crucial late drive that set up the winning field goal by Matthew Wright. But he was really unimpressive, and their offense was very sluggish. He was pressured on 17 of the 47. 47 dropback. He was pressured 17 times. Trailing by a point before, it's like 4.5 minutes in the game. He made that key play to Kelsey, which seems to be in the script every week, and Wright comes in. And I'm just trying to feel like, when does this script stop?
I honestly feel it's not going to stop until the playoffs start.
It's crazy.
It's bonkers, especially like I every week I go in, and like it's like they're a mediocre 11 and is it 11-1?
They are extremely.
They are a mediocre 11-1. There's nothing. We talk more about the Lions, Philly making a comeback. We talk about the dominance of the NFC North. We talk about like how the West is kind of like an open field, because we're looking at Seattle, Arizona, you know what I'm saying, the Rams, but like then when we bring up the Chiefs, it's like I'm not excited to talk about them
at all,
because I'm just like, how do they sit here every weekend is something? You know what I'm saying? They've been winning games by like 5 or less points. It's not nothing too dominant. Their offense is okay. You know what I'm saying? I want to say that they're in the middle of the pack as far as like total offense.
Right.
Their defense is ranked high, but it's like they don't play. When you watch it, it doesn't feel that way.
It doesn't.
You know what I'm saying?
It really doesn't.
And like it's just confused. It's like it's a script being written too hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're watching a TV show, and it's like y'all trying to do too much right now. You know what I'm saying? They kind of give you that inkling that it's fake. So I really don't think, and I don't think, even if I pull up like Kansas City's remaining schedule, I don't. They could like beat. They could beat everybody.
I mean, well, like I said, with the way that the script is being written, I mean, they can.
Like they play the Browns, the Texans, the Steelers, the Broncos, and all of those could go anyway, because the Browns, we don't know which Jameis is going to show up. You know what I'm saying? The Texans been on a pretty like hellacious roller coaster this year, and they're playing that Arrowhead, so I don't know how that's going to fare in December with a South team going up there. Chiefs and Steelers, I think that's going to be a good game just on a defensive scheme. So like you look at Mike Tomlin and what he's doing. If we're looking at comeback players, Russell Wilson is that dude right now. So
gotta say it.
It's not going to pay me to say it. It's just odd for me to speak that, as much as we were talking about him when he had his stint in Denver, and
we did
whether or not that was going to transcribe with him being out here.
We did,
and then they play the Broncos, and the Broncos, it's still an identity crisis with them. You know what I'm saying? So they can end up going 4-0. At worst, I could see them finishing out.
I see 2-2.
Yeah, I'm about to say 2-2 split, which is going to put them at 13-4. Yeah, 13-4. So like, but I don't think that's going to carry it, hopefully, because I mean, I mean, the Bills gave the blueprint. Like, let's be
They
clear.
really did.
You know what I'm saying? The Bills exploited so much, and that felt like satisfying for me just to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the Bills came over there and was like, no, you're not going to get away with all this shit that you've been doing.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
They did put out the blueprint on them.
So it's just that, these other teams aren't that. Texans, Steelers, and Broncos is going to be a challenge for them.
I'm about to say those three are probably the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
Definitely, I just think the Steelers and the Broncos, just from a defensive standpoint alone, definitely is going to make a challenge, especially the way that this year's Chiefs team has been playing. Defensively, they've struggled a lot. There hasn't been a lot of 30+ performances from this year's version of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I just think, and like I said, I don't know what the script writing is, but it always seems if it's a tight game, we're in the fourth quarter, there's some type of flag, some type of penalty or something against the other team, type of infraction, missed call, whatever. And like I said, I mean, and again, I'm not a Chiefs hater, but like after a while, it's like, okay, like, is anybody watching this? Like,
it's just tiring. Yeah, it's like, again, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, wow. Okay. So here we are. So and I get it. Like, he's Patrick Mahomes is the new wave. We just need to sit here and acknowledge that. And that's fine, but let the man work for it. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I say. Because there's some of it I just think they bail him out too many times. Especially this season.
They're giving him too much. Like, I know that you want him to be Brady-esque, but like, those teams were built to offensively and defensively. Now, don't get me wrong. I think one of his last 2 championships with the Patriots, it was more defensive driven, than offensively. But like, still,
but he still did his part.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point though, he was, and I hate to even say it, but he was Brady-esque at that point. I mean, you 4 Super Bowls in already, or 5 or 3, whatever it was at the time. So he was. So I mean that.
It's like he earned that.
Right. That's very well said. So, I don't know. Like I said, I think 2-2 down the road for him, but I just think, to me, this feels like a greater. And Kansas City fans, don't get mad at me, but you might get mad at me for saying this. Part of this also makes me feel like this is a greater setup though for the fall, because I don't see them really. If the playoff field is what it is, and like you said, Buffalo showing the blueprint, then of course Buffalo comes out here and gets a flat tire the week after. But hey,
probably.
But they set the blueprint, and as much as I wasn't on Buffalo's bandwagon early on in the year, they have quietly progressed. They've quietly, put those pieces in place. They went and got a number 1 receiver. Defense is showing up. I still think Josh Allen is a little overhyped, but in game times and the games that they needed him to make a play this year, and those big moments, he's made them.
Yeah.
And they're not getting the same type of breaks, but I think if in a close matchup again, I think this year I would have to give the flip and the nod, because they've laid out the groundwork. And it was kind of like, when I think back to my Giants in our glory days, we lost to New England, last game of the season, but we met up in the Super Bowl. We had already seen what we could do. We had already seen that foundation, that blueprint. We bum rushed Brady up the middle. We made plays. And of course, miraculous helmet catch. The rest is history. But I think that could be the same scenario, because now Buffalo has seen it. They've done it. And now they have the know-how to go ahead and face them in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting.
Definitely.
I don't think Kansas City is going to make it again this year. I think the dynasty ride, the dynasty talk, we're going to end that one this year. Speaking though, well, I don't want to make it any easier, because speaking of, I was really into the Packers game.
I was too.
Well, I know you were. I was like, damn. I said, damn. I know Sam really hurting on this one. Man, okay, I felt bad for you. I'm not gonna lie. It was a heck of a game. I mean,
it was
not even a heck of a game. It was a thrill. This is when they say thrilling, it really was a thrilling game on Thursday night. But Detroit improved to 12-1.
Yep.
And
my hats off to them.
Yeah, and your Packers fell to 9-4, and you guys really stood in there and stood in the trenches. And when you look back at the game Thursday night, what was your biggest takeaway you know, maybe the Lions positive, the Packers negative, or vice versa. But what were your takes?
Another team wanted it more.
Hmm.
Dan Campbell and his coaching staff played like they wanted that game, and the Packers didn't. Like, why would I be more worried about overtime than worry about winning the game? Because Coach Campbell already showed his cards. Like, he came out here and he went on like 8 or 9 freaking fourth down
Gambling
situations.
man right there. Riverboat Ron is back.
Yeah, got him got 66% of them or whatever the case may be. So he knew the assignment. He knew I needed to go in, and even if it's 4th and 3, I got to make this 4th and 3 happen. Yeah. They exploited our secondary because the secondary been beat up with Jaheir Alexander out, Nixon out, Xavier Williams, he's out too. So I mean, you got Amon St. Brown. Once again, just like I was talking about Texas, like, I don't believe in the zone defense when you have these high powered. They had the trifecta. I got to worry about 2 running backs. I got to worry about Laporta. Yeah. I got to worry about St. Brown. I got to worry about Gibbs, Swift. Yeah, like it's too many names. You know what I'm saying? Like we're naming like every iteration of the Temptations and all their members. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how you talking about this offense right here, which makes it hard. Like, so the team that wanted to win won.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Green Bay is all right, but they have to get healthy. Like, because defense wins championships. And once again, here's another team that I'm talking about. I always rag on excuse me, how Jordan Love is a little indecisive. Right? But your defense ain't giving they own the field too much. You know what I'm saying? And they're not making the stops when they need to. So if they plan on going far in the playoffs, you know, hopefully by that time, if we could retain the 6th or 7th seed, like I said, they're going to have to do something. Something's going to. Hopefully, we could get healthier these last 2 games and start planting our defensive flag out there, and getting what we need done. Second thing is offensive line penalties. That ate us up too. You know, that was really costly as well too. So that's something else that we need to work on. Like, there's a zero tolerance, and we play the Vikings this week. This Thursday.
Don't get no easier.
No, when you say it rains, it pours. Here it is.
Yeah, well, this is it, man. Y'all in the meat grind, if you will. You know that black and blue division. This is where you guys kind of go head to head for the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting. I think you'll be fine, especially like you said. I mean, looking at the landscape. You know, you got Detroit and Philly, you know, at the front of the pack. But really, I mean, you look at the 3rd and 4th seed, you know, division winners, whether it be Tampa, New Orleans, Seattle, Arizona. Let's just say you guys are the 6th seed. I think you guys match up well, man. You know, you get lucky and get and I don't want to say lucky, but you draw a Tampa or a Seattle. Yeah. In that first round matchup, it sets you up well. But I think right now you really have to pay attention to the snapshot of what you guys are looking at in your division, because you're probably going to face another division opponent. Yeah. You know, because I mean, you guys are probably going to have 3 teams just from your division alone making it into the playoffs. So I think, like you said, getting healthy, but really just kind of taking a snapshot. And if this is your first glimpse of what it's like to go up against Detroit, you lost by a field goal. I mean, and nobody wants to say, you know,
I mean, true. I mean, you know, we lost by like 21, 22 points the first game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this is progressions. However, you know what I'm saying? It's still, you know, it's not it.
No,
you know
it's not.
So,
but again, like I say, you know, you go from 21 to 3. Again, you know, I'm one of those long-term people. Is what you learn from each one. And then it's when the victory counts. Because you could have lost those first 2, but if you learn from each one of them and you have a 3rd shot, well, it counts more in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So, and that's how I've always been that type. Okay, you got me the first time. All right, good. Okay. I see you on the second. Okay, well, we came back. Okay, we still lost, but now we're 21. We closed the gap. And really, I mean, it could have been a toss-up, really.
It could have.
but I mean, they made the plays on the drive that when it counted,
Mm-hmm.
and they game-winning field goal. But 3
Yeah.
points that could easily flip in the playoffs. So I think, just looking at that, I think the Packers right now, and we talked about Jordan Love. I like how you said his indecisiveness, also with his ball management
Yeah.
will go a long way. And like I said, you get your pieces back on defense. Like, you guys have an exceptional defense when everybody's healthy. I will
Yeah.
say that.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully all of these things gel, and it'll be interesting to see, how these things play out in the
Right.
playoffs. So it'll be interesting.
Yes, sir.
Man, I'm looking at the schedule, like for next week, Sam, and man, there's 2 games that really stand out to me next week, and it's the Battle of Pennsylvania. We got the 10-3 Steelers taking on the 11-2 Eagles.
Okay.
Now, that one has me excited, only because, again, we talk about resurrected Russ. He's resurrected himself from the ashes of Denver, and early on in the season when we started this, I think you and I were both in agreement that, at the time, he's winning with Justin Fields. Man, just let him play.
Yeah.
And look, obviously we're not coaches, and this is why we're doing this. So obviously we were wrong. But to see
Yeah.
him go up against, if I have to be honest, and I hate to say it, but the perennial, MVP of the league, Saquon, man, Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a stat the other day. Basically, I mean, at the time in the game, I don't know what it was. He had like 1,488 rushing yards, but 982 were all in the second half.
Right.
I'm saying, so wait a minute. This dude through 10, 11 games, whatever. He's only rushing 500 yards in the first half, but he's put on basically a G in the second half. It's crazy. And to look at these 2 teams, the Battle of Pennsylvania, really, we could be looking at Super Bowl for all we know.
Right.
What is your biggest takeaway, and what are you excited to see about if watching that game, come up this weekend?
I like both defenses. Just to start off, and I think Phillies is more like they have a faster defense. You know what I'm saying? But Pittsburgh's defense is more smash mouth.
They're gonna punch you in the mouth.
So yeah. So I want to know what type of impact is going to be without Pickett, because I think he's hurt.
He's hurt. Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to resonate, or if they're going to lean on Najee Harris a little bit more, or if there's any other receivers that's going to sit here and stand up. So is TJ Watt and company going to be able to stop Saquon? That's going to be the more important question. If they can put the clamps on him, then it's going to be a long game for Philly. So I like to see that matchup right there.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what that front line is going to do to Saquon to slow him down.
Man, I got that one circled, man. I mean, I'm really excited for that one. And the other one, again, potentially another Super Bowl matchup. We got the Bills taking on the Lions. So the Bills kind of caught a little hiccup in their run last week. I don't think we expected them to lose, but they did. And we talked about the Lions taking on your Packers. What do you see, or what do you like to see or predict in this matchup?
If the Bills are going to be able to make whatever adjustments they need to, because this is going to be 2 games back to back that they're playing inside. The outdoors is they homage right there.
Yeah.
So what adjustments? We know turf makes you quicker. Those indoor stadiums, you're faster because of the type of ground that you have underneath you. So what adjustments are they going to be able to sit here and do? And like, when is it going to start to kick in? Is it going to be another one that we see that is kind of, you drag in the first half, and then Josh Allen is like, oh, I forgot who I am. I can
put on the skate.
Not only can I throw the ball, I can run it too. What I'm saying? And score a touchdown. So like, hopefully that'll click in on him early, and if they're going to take the gambles, because we already talking about it, Coach Campbell's going to sit here and do what he needs to in order to win. So are they going to play smart ball? Are they going to be able to stop it? And are they going to be able to sit here and strike when they need to? So I think that's the Super Bowl that everyone wants. At the end of the day, is a Lions and Bills game. it would be good to see the Bills back in the Super Bowl because it's been almost 40 years. 30,
yeah, man.
yeah.
Well, 30 years, yeah. The mid-90s, yeah, 30 years.
And it's been
Forever, never,
yeah,
ever.
yeah. So
Silver and blue.
yeah, I think everything is in the Lions' court as far as the NFC too. I think their biggest challenge will be Philly.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do they sit here and recover from that? Is this the Bills' year that they finally are going to get away from Patrick Mahomes and company and be that perennial team everybody's been talking about for years, especially since Josh Allen came on board? Is this the year that's going to break him away so we could be like, all right, he's that dude?
Well, I think so. I agree with you because for a minute, if I want to say there was probably a 2-year period where Joe Burrows and Cincinnati had become that team that people were saying was, take on Patrick Mahomes. And I think it took a little bit of the weight off of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
For me. And I think it helped him grow. Because like I said, this year, again, I wasn't big on them. But they came out smoking, no number one really. And they moved the ball. They still scored points. And Josh Allen was being Josh Allen. They go out and get Cooper. They really solidified their running game with Cook.
Yeah.
And the other young man, I just forgot his name, coming out of the backfield. Shakur, slot receiver. Their defense is solid.
Right.
It's not overwhelming or anything, but it's solid. It keeps them, in positions, good field position. Special team play has been solid. So I agree with you. I think, and I'm saying this because it feels like Buffalo, most of this season, really until of late, they really just kind of stayed under the radar. And nobody's really thought of them. We talked about like the Baltimores, and we talked about, Cincinnati and, some of these other teams that we just overlooked Buffalo. So now I think it's time, we put them in their perspective, give them their proper shine.
Yeah.
But there's still, about 5 weeks to go. Things still can play out. And I think it's just the seeding of it all. Do they have enough in the tank? And I'm going to be honest with you, if they have to go to, let's say, Kansas City, again, we talked about the script a little bit earlier in the show.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to fight not only the Chiefs, but the script.
Yeah.
If they have to go to Kansas City to the championship game in the AFC. So it'll be interesting, man. And it's been a great talk. I mean, we chopped it up and dove into it. And I want to give you, is there anything that you're looking forward to next week, or whether it be college, NBA?
Well, this is the weekend of bragging rights. So not only do we have championship games going on, we have the Army Navy game.
That's right.
Go Army. So I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see whether or not Army is going to be able to continue the momentum that they have. Especially, I want to see if that victory and winning that championship, the American championship, is going to like bloat their heads up a little bit more and kind of give Navy that opportunity to take advantage of that. Or if they're just like, hey, this is who we are. We done smacked everybody else. You're next.
I love it, man. Well, I look forward to it too, man. I mean, it's a every year occasion. But I think this year, like I said, I mean, most years, I mean, both teams have been pretty good when they show up. But like I said, with Army winning championship, and do you think this really helps propel them in the program moving forward to really stay at the forefront of the conference?
I don't know, because they're still an academy.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to that, like, there's still certain guidelines that they have just for you to, become a cadet at any of the military academies. I think that there's more shine, especially since 45 before he left, or 46 before he left, he passed a bill that allowed cadets to play in the NFL. Like, you can sit here and put aside your obligation or your commitment to pursue a professional career.
That's right.
So I mean, it could be beneficial in that aspect too, because a lot of people probably like, damn, I didn't know the Army have a football team, or I didn't know Navy had a football team or something like that. So I like the exposure. I don't think that I don't think it's going to ruin the brand. I think it's just going to. I do see it putting it out there a little bit more in a positive light. Like, hey, we could be competitive too. Yeah. I've been talking about it for years, but that's just me.
Look. Hey, look, man, it's coming to fruition. Hey, small steps. Yeah, man, it's moving in the right direction. I mean, I'm excited to see it too. Like I said, just being a fan of sports and watching Army Navy. I mean, it's like tradition. I mean, I didn't serve in the military, but I had family do. You're a friend, you family that have served, and I mean, it's tradition that you sit down and you watch it. And I'm just excited for it, man, just to see the young men who help serve our country, man, get an opportunity.
Oh yeah,
get the same type of exposure, like you said, and get the same credit, man. For playing a game that they love, and get excited for. So I look forward to, man. So I appreciate it.
What you excited for this weekend?
Oh man, look, you know what, man. I know she probably watching or listening. I'm excited to do nothing, Sam. I think.
Oh, hey.
Give myself a round of applause.
Hey, sometimes you need that,
And you know what? I think I'm gonna have a little me time. I'm gonna be able. I got a little honey to do list that I had created for myself.
Yeah.
That I didn't have the boss tell me. Okay. I got a little honey do list. I'm gonna do that. That'll probably take about all of like 30 minutes, and then the rest is I'm gonna be doing my best Al Bundy. I'll probably order some takeout. I sit with my hand in my pants and I lean back and I have a couple of beers and just watch sports all weekend. Just sports, veg out. I think that's what I'm going to do for once.
I could dig it. I could definitely dig that.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
I won't try, bro. I won't try. I'm gonna give it my darndest and my damnedest to do it. I sure will. Gotcha. But I appreciate you, bro, man. And before we go, man, let everybody know where they can check you out because you like to do your thing, in your spare time. So I want to give you a little shine before we go.
Well, once again, for those who don't know or those who haven't got at me yet, you can reach me. Normally, come the weekend, I stream. You can catch me on Steam, Twitch, Discord, Osarge Gaming. Come check me out. Marvel Rivals just came out last week, so everybody's been real big on that. Haven't figured out who I'm maining yet. I've been playing with Iron Man, of course, Black Ops 6, and I do action RPGs too, like Path of Exile just dropped too. So I'll probably be streaming that over the weekend. So if you see me on any of the social medias, come and hit me up or get in. Send me your gamer chats or your gamer tags, and I'll add you, and we could just sit there and have a good time.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you. I thank you all for who joined. I see you in the weeds, and I thank you. This was a quiet week for you. You getting over Thanksgiving like we were. I thank you for joining us. And share with a friend. Check out the playback. Here on our YouTube channel at Two Mics Up, and catch some of our reels, man. Reels kind of been buzzing the last couple of weeks, so I really appreciate you, you all who've been, liking the reels and watching our reels here on YouTube. So, like we do, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of each and every segment, on behalf of Sam and I want to go ahead and leave you with a couple of things. May you all stay safe, stay blessed. Mics out.